Hello, I wanted to talk about sadness and how important it is to address it before it becomes a heavy burden, and how we can flip our mental state to view sadness in a different way that will allow us to transmute ourselves and heal ourselves without having to bear victim to this emotion. So, I would just recommend just listening and feeling, breathing at your own pace. You see, the thing is about sadness is unconsciously we all have a resistance towards it. And I think most definitely in the new age culture of self-help and spirituality, we all have this unconscious resistance to feeling sadness. Because it's almost as though no matter how much inner work we do, the sadness still comes up. And I think it's important for us to realize that no matter how much knowledge you accumulate, you cannot avoid sadness. And it's almost like a snowball, but it's so big that when it comes, you just have to observe it, and no amount of observation will ever make it not painful. That's the thing. Like, even if you're observing sadness, it doesn't make it easier or make it go away. It's never going to be super easy, and that's something not a lot of people talk about, and it's important to address it. Sadness often manifests through a burden that we feel that we carry with the world, that a lot of the things that we experience and deal with, we feel like we have to fix it all and do it all ourselves, and that it's all up to us. And that's not true. It's not all up to us, and we don't have to do everything ourselves, but because we're so separated from unity consciousness, that we kind of forget that it's a us story, it's a the story, it's not our story. So the pain that we're feeling internally, when we flip our consciousness and our awareness, our thought processes to maybe this is something that everyone is feeling right now and not everyone's talking about it. And I think that's so important to shift yourself when you start feeling sad, because it's so normal to feel sad. What's not normal is thinking that you're the only one who's ever felt it and that you have to bear all the burdens of your sadness, because you don't. I think most importantly, because sadness is one of those emotions that you have to hold space for and just go through, that a lot of people will try to find ways to cope with it because they don't know how to feel. So coping comes with a lot of resistance subconsciously, and this coping could make it so that they're not really aware that they're hurting, which I think is even worse than actually feeling sad, is not being aware of just how sad you are. And that's the most important part. Because a lot of the time, because of the coping and the numbing physically or mentally, emotionally that people are doing by pretending or acting like they don't feel for whatever self-proclaimed reason, or if they just keep pushing through, that maybe they don't have to feel it. But this is worse. This is more painful. A lot of the time, frustration and anger actually stems from pain. And it's hard for us to acknowledge this because we feel like so victimized to what's going on around us. And we feel like we always have to defend ourselves, so it's hard for us to have empathy and compassion for everyone when you're hurting. And so it manifests into extreme anger or sadness. But actually, it takes a really brave person to slow down and say, hey, maybe I'm hurting. And this is okay to hurt, actually. And maybe if I listen to myself and give myself enough love, like I would give a good friend who was hurting, the same attention and affection, that I will start shining so beautifully. And I no longer have to hide how I feel, thus letting it out. That really takes bravery. And this is what being a light warrior is knowing that not everything is super light. But that doesn't mean that you're alone doing it and you don't have to hide it. It's a beautiful thing. It's really beautiful. And so, that is how I feel about sadness. It's a lack of connection with yourself and everyone around you, and it's the desire to avoid it and act like everything's fine. When sometimes not everything is fine, and that's okay. If you enjoyed this video, I would recommend subscribing and liking, as I will be sharing more in-depth information on how to access aspects of your soul retrieval, as well as many other meditational videos that can help you access your full potential. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a blessed